Hello everyone, this is Casino, making a Discipline Priest PvP guide today for 6.2. Why Discipline and not any other healer in this game, since so many of them are so appealing and have in many ways more to offer than a Discipline Priest does? That's simple, my friend. It's called versatility. They have the ability to do great damage, solid healing I would say, and some of the best spells in the game. Some of the reasons that might make you want to rethink playing a Discipline Priest, and this is my disclaimer in the beginning of the video, as most disclaimers should be, is because they have bad crowd control options. I mean, you have a fear every 30 seconds. That's not very stupendous. They have poor mobility. They move very slow compared to a lot of classes. They have limited abilities to move around quickly or to dash around the screen in some cases. And they're in cloth armor. I mean, you're going to get hit a lot harder than most classes are going to get hit. Discipline has not changed at all since 6.1. They decided they weren't going to buff anything. They thought it was strong enough as it was. I guess the good players proved themselves competent enough that they didn't feel like they needed to add a whole lot to it. And I can respect that. Having played it on a daily basis, I can agree with their decision. Well, let's delve in now to talents and glyphs. Level 15, Spectral Guise. I don't know a single priest in the game that doesn't have that for the level 15 talent. Can be used offensively or defensively depending on the situation. And what I mean by that, offensively, I mean most people are going to use it defensively to escape death or maybe to preemptively escape burst or something like that. But it can also be used offensively. Say that you have someone that's almost dead and they only need a few more damage done to them, and they're kiting you around a pillar, and you could start going around the pillar one way in Spectral Guise, and then circle around the other way counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on what you initially were going, to finish them off with your whatever, your awesome holy fire or whatever. So it has quite a bit of uses to it. Body and soul, I tend to use this over angelic feather just because I can power word shield my buddies and they can get a run speed increase, but also I can power word shield my mindbender and it'll get a run speed increase, which as hard as the mindbender hits, if it's getting kited by, like a hunter mage or something, like shooting around, or even a holy paladin running at increased speed, it will stay on them and it will hit them more often. So it's kind of a cool little thing that I've discovered. Level 60 talent, Psychic Scream is the only viable option here as far as I'm concerned. Void Tendrils you can use on melee. Psychic Scream you can use to interrupt casts such as healing or the other team's DPS. You're going to interrupt their spell and CC them at the same time. I mean, it's pretty cool. It has different options. Level 75 talent, we have Power Infusion. While Twist of Fate is reliant on healing somebody under 35%, which I might not do during the entire course of a battleground or arena, Power Infusion I can use at will. So if I want to put it in a macro to use it with my on-use trinket that gives me versatility, I can then use that in my damage rotation, for example, to increase my damage, or in my healing rotation to increase my healing, depending on what I'm doing. So it's a very, very good talent. Level 90, nothing really thrilling here. I picked Divine Star because when I use it in Arena, I can use it on the run, whereas Cascade is better perhaps in Battlegrounds where there's a multitude of people standing around and it will get more healing out of it. So that is something you want to consider. For the level 100 talents, you only have one option here for PvP, and that's Saving Grace. The reason is, even as good as Clarity of Will is, and the fact that it can stack up, even if you can use it multiple times and it'll stack up to I think 150,000 absorb on somebody, that's great, and that's a great preemptive thing to use in a battleground or something. But when you're in arena and you're getting focused on, they're going to interrupt that long cast time. I mean, they just will. Even if you got Shadow Magic Glyph, you could only get one or two of those off, even with all your cooldowns, and that's just not going to be worth it. A Saving Grace is a fat heal, instant, and I'm going to tell you how to use it in just a minute. Moving on to glyphs. We've got 3 glyphs that I tend to use. Glyph of Massive Spell. It's amazing. It makes your Massive Spell actually viable. Glyph of Inquisitor, which adds 25% to my initial damage from Holy Fire, which adds to my damage. And again, adding to my damage, Glyph of Reflective Shield, which I think its only other counterpart, Weakened Soul, just isn't, it doesn't add up to that kind of amazingness. I mean, causing 70% of the damage you absorb to reflect it back at him, that helps me 1v1 every class in the game pretty much. I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself. I don't like Penance Glyph. I think it's useless just because it's nice defensively to run away and use Penance while moving. But offensively, as long as you start using Penance before they run around a pillar, every tick of Penance will hit them, even behind the pillar. So I like to use Penance offensively anyway. So for me, getting the Glyph of Penance versus having to sacrifice one of these other 3 pillars of my setup here, I just don't think it's worth it. Other choice, Shadow Magic. It's amazing in 3s. Like if you're doing 3v3 and you're Disc Priest, you need Shadow Magic because if you get tunneled down by like a Feral Druid, a Death Knight, and a Warrior, for example, good luck surviving without this glyph. I mean, good luck surviving for even like 30 seconds. But then again, I don't play 3 versus 3, but I haven't gotten time to get into that yet. So moving on, priority system. If I'm doing damage, like I said, I like to macro my DPS trinket with my power infusion. Then I'll burn power word shield on myself and my allies to get the versatility added to my power word shield, more absorb and more reflect. Then I throw out shadow word pain, holy fire, penance, then I like to use my mind bender. Sometimes I use silence in conjunction with that, depending on the situation, unless I'm saving it for like a CC into a silence kill in arena. And then I like to spam smite, building up my archangel, saving up for that, and does a lot of damage with the other rotation involved and reflective shield and everything considered. Um, What I like to play most is 2 versus 2. I don't really enjoy 3 versus 3. I feel like you're either getting chain CC'd and your partners are getting killed right in front of you and you're helpless to do anything, or that you get trained on by now what I like to call super DPS, by Feral Druids, by DKs. I mean, you get a Feral Druid and DK on you that is like a 2K quality player, you're done with. If you're a Disc Priest, you're done. I mean, maybe a Resto Druid could get out of that situation and kite for a little bit. Maybe a Monk could teleport around and use a crazy bubble on himself and make himself live longer. Not a Discipline Priest, my friend. You've got Spectral guys, you've got a Fear, and you've got, yes, you've got your little powered barrier that'll buy you some time. So will pain suppression. But it's all said and done with, you buy yourself 30 seconds. That's not very long in arena. That really is not very long in arena. And depending on if your partner is able to burst one of their team members down in that time, it's just a DPS race. And there's a lot of factors that are getting involved. But 2 versus 2 against good quality comps and good players is like paper rock scissors. You're going to get times where you go against a good player and you'll beat him, you know, and then he'll turn around and get a different partner and same quality player as him. You beat the other guy that he was with that was better than the new guy. The new guy is now has more CC or something. You might get against a comp that is going to beat you. That is just how these things work. So you can't beat yourself up too much. I mean, no matter how good of a player you are, there's always somebody out there that's going to be better than you. You might be a 2200 player watching this video, rolling your eyes thinking that I'm a noob, but there's a player out there that's in Europe probably that's like, last season was like 2700, 2800 that would run circles around you. So unless you're one of the best players in the world, and in which case you wouldn't be watching this video anyway, you can't roll your eyes at anybody. Got a lot of people telling me, Disc Priest, DPS, lol, they can't do any damage. A Holy Paladin can do more damage than a Disc Priest can. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but I've never seen any other healer do more damage to me in a battleground, in an arena match, I've had one disc priest I went against that I think beat me by like 1,000 damage. It was like so close. But yeah, I mean, if you know how to play a discipline priest, you're gonna be a DPS that heals sometimes. You're just gonna be like shocked. So I encourage anybody that has a priest to try out this spec and playstyle. Uh, Try to remember when you're playing that you're mainly a healer. You want to keep your teammates dispelled and bubbled up. I don't catch a lot of dispels on my teammates sometimes because I am putting out some deeps. And they know that. They know that's just the way I play. And they're like, okay, well, I'm sitting here rooted for a minute. Casino's probably doing a holy fire for like 30k on somebody. I think I can chill for a minute, you know? Whereas if I was just a healer that was just a heal bot, and I was just standing there and for some reason I wasn't dispelling my party member, then yeah, I would be a scrub because what else am I doing? I mean, I'm not helping them kill them, so I'm just heal botting, so why am I just standing there? Which is a lot of a way that people play. And if that's the way you play, I respect that. If you're a lot of classes like a Resto Druid or Holy Paladin, you could kind of get away with that a little bit and it wouldn't really matter. But if you're playing a Discipline Priest and you're not doing damage, you're missing what the class was made for. I mean, there's a reason that Atonement is in this game. It might not be what it used to be where you could like damage and heal people, but it's still viable, folks. I mean, it still does a good amount of passive healing when I use my holy damage spells against the enemies. And, every bit helps. So, um, anyway, in Battlegrounds, I love to do Battlegrounds. I said I would talk a little bit about that, and I think Discipline is amazing in Battlegrounds. I couldn't imagine a rated 10v10 without a Discipline Priest. I mean, you might think you're good with a Resto Druid, a Shaman, and a Holy Paladin, but you'd be mistaken because discipline brings a lot to it, not only with the absorbs, making people's initial life pools a lot bigger, which no other class can really do, but it has massive spell. So if their holy paladin on the opposing team bubbles, boom, gone in a second. Oh, he's dead. Good job, guys. Way to watch the dispel. That's the way a good discipline priest plays. You have to be very offensive. You have to be watching for, thinking about what the other team's going to do, using your fear at the appropriate time to disrupt what, and try to, when you use your fear in arena, you should always be using it when you catch both players in the fear if you can. There's certain things you got to think about. You should always be trying to mass a spell if you have all these people in this little area, because you're going to be taking all the negative stuff off you and your friends and one good thing off the other team. And that good thing could be something really good if I'm pretty sure if you've got the glyph of mass a spell. So you always have to be watching out for that stuff. Now I'll show you right now, I'm not the best player. I've played 47 games this season so far. I've won 30 of them. That's pretty good. I mean, I win more than half of my matches. I look at that as a success. If you're one of those people that, they've won 49 out of 50 of their games, I bow down to you. I salute you, sir. But like I said, I think twos is very paper rock scissors. You got to deal with different players, different play styles. You're gonna get it against a team 1 minute that's gonna destroy you. You could turn around and face them a week later, and you're like, I can't believe that team beat us. So that's just how it is. But just letting you know that I'm willing to show you that I have some experience in arenas. I know what I'm talking about. Um, this is how I like to enchant. I like to get Mark a War Song for the haste. I think haste is excellent when you pair it with power infusion. That is ridiculous speeds that you're able to do damage or healing at. It's really nice. I like to enchant for critical strike. I used to enchant for mastery. Then I realized, wait, mastery is just increases potency of absorption spells. And healing, yeah, and that's very important. But wait, crit works for damage and healing. And when I crit with my bubbles, it adds another bubble to it. Or my heals, it adds a bubble to it. So, I mean, the way discipline works is, I love it. I just love playing this class. I like, talking to people about priest. I used to be a heal bot myself. I stand around and heal, wouldn't really do anything else. And then kind of got tired of it. So kind of developed my own kind of play style, and that's why I'm sharing this with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, post some questions down there, or you can contact me in game. I'm usually on at nighttime. My server is Smolderthorn, so feel free to hit me up. Alright, I will make a new video soon. Peace.